Hi there. In this clip, you and I are going to work together to compare the speed of two workers. And we're going to do that together by calculating the standard deviation. And just a tip, before I begin, to calculate the standard deviation, we're going to need a graphing calculator. So if you don't have one handy, just pause the clip, go grab your graphing calculator, and we'll get started. So let's have a look at our scenario. Felix and Melanie work laying down patio stones. They record how many stones they put in place each hour. And we've been given a table right here that shows the hours 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's a 6-hour day, and then how many stones each person lays in that hour. So the question asks A, which worker gets more done during the day? And B, which worker is more consistent? And B is where the standard deviation will come in. All right, well, let's get started with A. Which worker gets more done during the day? Well, that's just how many patio stones each person's put down. So for part A, let's just add up all the patio stones for Felix during the day. And to find out how many stones Felix has laid at the end of the day, let's just type in the numbers we see there with our calculator. So 34 plus 41 plus 40 for the third hour, and then 2 38s. And then Felix finishes strong at the end of the day with 45. We'll hit enter, and we get 236 patio stones. So let's make a note of that over here. I'm just going to say F for Felix, 236 stones. And then you can go ahead and just repeat the calculations for Melanie, and we'll compare the results. So I skipped the calculations, but I'll just show you that Melanie ended up with 246 stones at the end of the day. So Melanie puts down 10 more patio stones than Felix. And I'm just going to highlight that to show that that is the answer for A. Let's move on to B. In B, this is where I need your help, because in order to compare who's more consistent, we need to check out both standard deviations. So I'm going to find the standard deviation for Felix using my calculator, and then I'm going to get you to try finding the standard deviation for Melanie on this side, and I'll show you the answer when you're ready. So watch very carefully now as I compute the standard deviation for Felix. I'm going to bring in my calculator, and the first thing I need to do is take all of these numbers and put them into a list, which we'll call L1 on the calculator. So I'm going to find the stat button right here, and I want edit. I should just be able to hit enter and it goes to edit. Mine's highlighted on list 2 or L2, but I don't want that. I'm going to go to L1 by hitting the left cursor. And then I'm just going to enter in my numbers that I see there. 34. And after each number I hit enter. 41, then I hit enter. 40. 38. Another 38. And 45. There, I've made my list for Felix. Now that my L1 is filled with these values for each hour, I can compute the standard deviation. To do that, I'm going to go back to the stat button. I'm going to hit that, and I'm going to scroll over by hitting the right button to calc. Then I want what's right here, one var stats, or one variable stats. And it's already highlighted for me, so I'll hit enter. Now it's asking for the list. Which list do I want? Well, I want L1. To get that, I hit the second button, then stat, because it'll give me list. You see how it's right there in yellow? And L1 is highlighted, so I'm going to hit enter. Now it's about to give me the one variable stats for list 1. That's great, so I'll hit enter. And there we go. It's computed lots of things for us. The first thing with this X with the bar over top is the mean. So even though the question didn't ask for it, it's kind of interesting that Felix averages about 39 patio stones per hour. Not bad. The standard deviation is the last one in the list. It has this symbol right here, 3.35, we'll say. So the standard deviation for Felix is 3.35 roughly. So what this means is, in an average hour, you can expect Felix to put down about 39 patio stones, give or take about 3.35 patio stones in either direction of the mean. So about 3 more than 39 or about 3 less than 39 is possible. So let's just go and make a note of the standard deviation for Felix. So for Felix, I'll just put an arrow here. The standard deviation is 3.35. All right, that's great, but we're not done yet. We need to look at the standard deviation for Melanie so we can compare the two workers. And that's where you come in. Are you ready? Grab your calculator because it's time to calculate Melanie's standard deviation. So give that a try with the steps I showed you. If you need to see the steps again for how to use the calculator, just rewind the clip a little bit and you can watch that part over again. But I'll post the solution when you're ready. All right, well, hopefully if everything went well for you, you found that Melanie's standard deviation was equal to 7.39. And let's just quickly review how we got that answer. We had our calculator and we wanted to punch in Melanie's numbers in a list, which I've already done here in L1. I punched in all the tiles she laid in every hour. Then I hit Stat, scroll over to Calc, hit Enter, and I need to select the list. So I'm going to say Second List. L1 is already highlighted, so I'll hit Enter. Then Enter one more time. And here is the mean, and finally this is the standard deviation, 7.39. So let's compare the two standard deviations for Felix and Melanie. 3.35 is smaller than 7.39, so it turns out that Felix is the more consistent worker. Even though Melanie might lay more patio stones down in the day, Felix is a little more consistent every hour, and that's because the standard deviation is smaller. Finally, let's just add a concluding statement. And the concluding statement, of course, just says, therefore, Felix is more consistent.